Notice this thing, this is out of a context discussion which I noticed a couple of times in the past. If your database uses a given disk group, in my case it's, let's say, dgnorm, it updates the information in OCR that this particular database uses or requires the disk group dgnorm. You can confirm that by saying srvctl config database -d, name of the database optionally followed by -a. So see here, I can see my database is using the disk group dgnorm. I can confirm that by saying srvctl config database -d ragdb, which disk groups are required for my database to be functional. Dgnorm is required. Now my plan is to remove everything of every file of my database that is currently there on dgnorm. So let me query it first. So earlier I believe so the ones that are related to dgnorm I am going to drop them. These are the two temporary table spaces and this is the regular table space. So I am going to drop table space temp1, drop table space temp2, drop table space, this one is also using a file on dgnorm, test1, including contents and data files. Pretty much I removed everything. So now none of the files from my database comes from the disk group dgnorm. All of them are there on the disk group data. Let's quickly confirm. So all of them are coming from data. 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 None of them is coming from dgnorm. Means ideally none of the files belonging to my database now comes from the disk group dgnorm. So it should be safe to drop it. So here I go on ASM. This is my disk group. I go on this one and say drop. I prefer to do a drop from ASM CA because it doesn't prompt me that it is mounted elsewhere. So please unmount it from there. So it will automatically unmount it from the other node and then it will subsequently drop that particular disk group. Now let's see the problem. I am saying now srvctl stop database -d ragdb. I am stopping the database. I had a couple of files on other disk group which is very normal. Later on those files are not required, so I removed them from the other disk group. I don't need that disk group ideally, I dropped it. The problem starts now because my OCR information still says now it's showing an error. Earlier it reported that there are two disk group data and DG norm. Now it's not able to get the disk group DG norm, which as per the OCR update it assumes that it's one of the required disk groups for my database to be up and running. If I say now srvctl start database -d name of my database, it says no, I need DG norm, but we know in reality that DG norm was no longer required. Now when this happens, you have to manually update the OCR and confirm that DG norm is no longer required. So I am saying srvctl modify database -help. So I am going to run through this command. Now I am saying srvctl modify database -d ragdb -o oracle home -p location of my sp file, role of my database is primary, startup policy be automatic, list of disk groups that are required by my database, it still says unable to identify. Something is srvctl modify database -d name of my database -o oracle home -p the path to my sp file -r the role of my database -y the startup policy being automatic, followed by -a which is the comma separated list of disk group names. I think that plus is causing the problem. So I updated it into the OCR. I am checking my configuration. Remember, the same command earlier has errored out. Now it's not erroring us out. Now it says that the only disk group that is required is data. srvctl start database -d ragdb. Now if you start it up, this time it will not complain about anything. It will come up gracefully. This is what I have said out of context, although this was not the discussion that I wanted to initiate. If your database uses a disk group, let's say DG norm, it updates the information in the OCR. You can query it by saying srvctl config database -d -a. But when the database stops using the disk group, this information is not cleared from the OCR. Subsequently, if you drop the disk group, the database would see this as required but missing and won't start. You have to correct the OCR by removing the disk group and then start the database. So I have updated it like this. Once I mentioned that it's no longer required, the only disk group that I need is data, then once the OCR was updated, it finally managed to do without it. This bug is fixed in 11.2030. We are using 11.2020. So often a debate, shall I go on the latest version or shall I stay on the current version? We always often follow one strategy. That statement says, instead of staying on the current version with known bugs, move on to the latest version with unknown issues. On the current version there are known bugs. New version, it may not have bugs. It may or may not have issues. So why to stay on the current version which anyways has documented bugs? Why not move on to a new version where even if there are issues, only God knows if there are issues. Here the whole world in Oracle community knows that in 11.2020 there are certain bugs. It's up to you. Uh, I don't normally prefer to be on the latest release. I don't want to be a guinea pig for Oracle to try all their buggy code on my environment. So I'll normally try to be one step closer to the highest possible release. One step closer, but not exactly on the highest release. So if somebody has to test it, let other people test it, stabilize the product, fix the bugs. When the whole market says 11.2030 is stable, then I would like to upgrade it. I don't want to be a guinea pig for Oracle to do that 11.2030 testing on me. Next is understanding about Oracle ASM and volumes, ASM files and volumes. First, let's understand what is the functionality of a volume. Oracle ASM now allows you to create a logical disk inside ASM disk group. So you have an ASM disk group. I can create a logical disk device by taking the space from a disk group. So consider a case that I have a disk group called as data, not data, because data has a compatibility issue. So I will create another disk group called as DG norm with whatever redundancy. Ensure compatibility is 11.2 and higher. Clear? Now once you create this disk group, let's say it has two disks of 3 GB each. So raw capacity is 6 GB. Usable capacity is now I want to extend. If ASM is such a fantastic concept that my data gets striped, data gets protected and whatnot, whatever we said why somebody should use ASM, we get data striping, you get increased IO bandwidth and whatnot, you get protection without using RAID. If it is such a wonderful concept, why not extend this concept to general files? Otherwise ASM allows only storage for 16 different file types that we have seen earlier. So Oracle says there are only 16 different Oracle database files which can be stored on ASM. If this is such a wonderful concept, then why not use ASM for storing user files? Like I want my latest Bollywood movie downloaded from torrent to be redundant. So just one copy gets deleted, one ASM disk fails. I should have another commando movie in a redundant manner. This is possible starting from 11.2. You can further extend that concept for storing user files. But to be able to do that, you must create a volume. Once you create a volume inside an ASM disk group, your operating system gets a device name, as if you have plugged in a new disk device to your machine. Once it is a block device, then you are free to do it with that block device whatever you want. Once your OS identifies it as a block disk device, you can format it, mount it, and use it. So format that device with some file system, get it mounted, and start using it. Store whatever now under that mount point. Everything is stored in a striped manner. Data extends, AUs striped across all the participating disks in the disk group with whatever protection is default enabled for that disk group. So my user files are also protected by ASM by extending that ASM disk group concepts to volumes. A volume can be formatted with a regular platform specific file system. Like if it's Linux, I can format it with ext2, ext3, or with the Oracle supplied cluster file system ACFS. Once that device is available to you, you are free to format it with whatever file system is of your choice or is available on your platform. Oracle doesn't care what you do with that disk going forward. And once it is formatted, you are free to mount it. You would format it with a non-cluster file system if you want to use that mount point only on one server at a time. Format it with ACFS or any other CFS which is supported on your platform. If you want to use the mount point concurrently on more than one servers, if you want to have a shared mount point on alpha and beta where both the machines will see that mount point, but ultimately the space is coming from a shared ASM disk group, then format it with a special purpose file system called as cluster file system. Now as far as cluster file system choice is concerned, if you already have a cluster file system for your platform, format it with that. If you don't have, Oracle anyways provides ASM cluster file system. So either use the Oracle solution or use whatever is supported on your operating system. Next thing is to understand what all modules, OS modules, are required for ASM, ADVM, ACFS on Linux. So here I am on one of the machines and I am using lsmod grep oracle command as a root. These are the 4 modules that are required for a fully functional ASM, ADVM, ACFS, out of which you are aware of only one module. Oracle ASM is nothing but Oracle ASM lib software that we installed prior to the start of grid infrastructure installation. OKS is the Oracle kernel service This particular module is responsible for loading module for ADVM and module for ACFS. So that's why if you see Oracle OKS, which is Oracle kernel service, it loads Oracle ACFS, ASM cluster file system, and ASM dynamic volume manager, ADVM. So these are the modules which are required. If your operating system, not all operating system supports ADVM and ACFS. Some of them do not support, especially up till 11G release to 11.2010. HP Unix didn't had a support for ADVM and ACFS. Up till 11.2020, Solaris operating system in zones and containers does not support ADVM ACFS. I don't know what is the latest status, but in a physical environment Solaris supports ADVM ACFS, but in a virtual environment under zones and containers it doesn't support. HP Unix anyways doesn't support up till 11.2010 ADVM and ACFS. I don't know what is the current certification status. We are on to 11.2030. The concept might have been extended now. So these are the modules that are required for supporting ASM, ADVM and ACFS. To be able to do this, I am going to create another disk group, say DG norm, which I dropped earlier, putting these two disks named as D3, D4, part of FG1, FG2. Categorically, I would be selecting the the compatibility to 11.2, and I am creating my disk group now. Remember, to be able to use ADVM ACFS, your disk group must have a compatibility set to 11.2 and higher. Oracle kernel service. These are nothing but the drivers that provides you a low level access to the ASM disk group. So the disk group DG norm is created. Now I am planning to create a volume inside this. I go to volumes tab. I don't see any volume as of now. When I say create, it says on which disk group I want to create it on. DG norm. It says what's the name of the volume. I call it as local vol of the size 100 MB. Now it gives me a choice which disk group it is on. Normal, with a disk group with a normal redundancy. So for redundancy, it offers me how should be the volume protected. Default is mirror, means whatever goes on this volume will be written twice. I can go for high, I can go for unprotected. So although I am on DG norm, I want to keep this as unprotected, because I don't want any protection for user files. What is the stripe width and stripe columns? More on this at a later stage. Just to make a note, I have created local vol inside the disk group DG norm with the setting as unprotected, with the stripe width of 128K and stripe columns as 4. More on this, why I have made a note at a later stage. Once I am done, remember I gave the name as local vol. Said OK. Local vol created successfully. Of the size that I created was I am creating another one. I said create shared vol See what happens if I select the disk group as data. Mirror and high is automatically disabled because data disk group is externally protected or has a redundancy external. But the moment I select the disk group as DG normal, again I want to go for an unprotected one of the size 100 MB. Clear? Keeping all other default. That's done. So I have two volumes. See what is the name of the device that it created. Dev ASM something. Let's go and verify. See here, both are reportedly block devices. So I really doubt if they are real block devices. Indeed, it's reported as a disk. See, it has printed the disk geometry. It says the disk has 512 byte sectors with 16 160 65 cylinders. Currently there aren't any partitions, so on and so forth. Checking for the other one. What is not clear here? Although I said a size of 100 MB, why is it reportedly showing a size of, the size is actually 256 MB? Although it's reporting here as wrong, but you will realize at a later stage. Nonetheless, once I have the device, I will format it. So I am saying E2F MKE2 -J, name of my device. It says now formatting your device local val -35. So basically I am creating a file system layout on top of that block device which I have got in the name of local val -35. So it has formatted that device. It's writing the super block and file system information into that device now. I have formatted it with ext3 file system that -j indicates, which is a journal file system. So the device is formatted. Now I am creating a mount point, let's say local disk, and now I mount it by saying mount -t ext3, name of my device, name of my mount point. I say df-h. See what is the size? Roughly 256 MB. Clear? So the now the mount point local disk of the type ext3, the device of which is nothing but a volume device that we created earlier from ASM disk group DG norm, is there. Once in local disk, I can copy any of my custom files. So I am copying this, the other one, under local disk. If I go under local disk, all the files are there. Clear? But this mount point is only available on the current machine, not on the other machine, because I have formatted it with a platform specific regular file system ext3. I created another device, shared val. I want to format this with ASM cluster file system, so I go here. As of now there is no ACFS formatted volume. I click on create. It says which of the two you want to format, local val or shared val, or you want to create new. I said I want to format shared volume. It says after getting it formatted, are you planning to install Oracle RDBMS software on that volume? If yes, select this one. If not, select this one. So I am not planning to install Oracle RDBMS software once it is mounted. I want it for my general Bollywood movies. Then it says where you would like to mount it. I want to mount it as shared disk between alpha and beta. It says would you like to register it or would you not like to register it? I will explain this at a later stage. So the first choice is, will you be installing Oracle software once it is available, or you will be keeping any other software other than Oracle? I selected other software. Once I selected other software, there were two options presented to me. Do I want to register or I do not want to register? Remember, there was no such choice available here. So if you select a given ACFS for installing Oracle software, mandatorily it needs to be registered. But if I keep user files, it's up to me whether or not I want to register it. I want to register it. I said show me the commands. It says I am going to anyways run through the following commands. So it's up to me now. I can run these commands manually. This is to create a file system. Remember, in the earlier case we created it with the same thing by saying /sbin /mkfs-t ext3 /dev /asm /local wall something. So I formatted last time it with ext3. This time it is formatting it with ACFS. I formatted the local volume, is formatting the shared volume. Now after doing this, since I selected the register button, it is also additionally running a utility provided by Oracle called as ACFS util registry -a-m name of the device, name of the mount point. Let it run through. Before that, here I am on alpha. And here I am on to beta. Clear? Now I am running through those commands. What was the size of the device we asked to create? 100 MB. It says done. File system mounted and is automatically there. Currently it is showing status as dismounted. I move to other tab. I come back here. See what it says now. Mounted on both the machines. I don't believe this. I said df-h. See here. A shared disk of 256 MB, although I said 100 MB. Here I am on alpha. I said this. Wonderful. I go to shared disk. I create a file. File 1.txt. This file is created from SL alpha node. I am on SL alpha. I created a file with this text. I go to beta. I open the same file. This line was added from SL beta, which means we both can see the same shared mount point. Can you confirm? Here I am on alpha. Yes. Here I am on beta, which means it's a shared file system. Clear? ACFS. So I registered it. Now the same shared file system is available on both the places. Now a small question. Although I asked it to create two volume devices of 100 MB each, why it created a volume of 256 MB each? There's a small mathematics there. I am scrolling to the mathematics portion of it. Here's the mathematics. A volume allocates space in VAUs, volume allocation unit, at creation and at the time of resize. So whenever you resize a volume, whenever you create a volume, space is allocated in units of VAU. What is VAU? No, no, that's a, you are telling me an acronym of it. I'm asking how is it calculated? A VAU is stripe column multiplied by volume extent. I know now. Okay. So volume allocation unit is actually a product of stripe columns into volume extent size. I know stripe columns in my case were 4. So I know one quantity now. Into, I don't know what is volume extent size. Volume extent size is 64 MB when allocation unit is 1 MB. What is the allocation unit for our disk group? 1 MB. So what will be volume extent? 64. When I multiply it, I get 256. So now the lowest resize possible is on the boundary of 256 MB. So smallest size would be 256. Nearest higher size would be 512. The next nearest would be 768, and in the multiples of 256 MB. Now the one thing that is quite interesting is a dynamic resize. Here I am on alpha. Here is my present working directory, and I am editing a file. आपके सामने ही लिख रहा हूं मैं. I am still using the file. Now I thought this disk space is not sufficient. I can right click on it and I say resize. Remember, people are using files from that mount point. I have that file open in my VI editor on alpha. I right click on it and I say resize. I said 300 MB this time. But will it be 300 MB? 256 nahi to? Direct 512. Anyways, I am saying 256 MB. I said okay. It is resizing it on the fly. It says done. I don't believe this. Here I am on to beta. I said df-h. See earlier what was the size. See what is the size now. On alpha I am still editing the file. I save this and I said see now, just like a volume manager, multiple PVs are clubbed in a VG. From a VG then you can make LVs. LVs can grow and shrink on demand seamlessly, whatever. Clear? So I can grow a file system on demand. Now question is, what should I store on such a mount point? Oracle says anything in the world except Oracle database files. So you can store whatever you want, but you cannot store Oracle files on this mount point. I don't agree. Who purchased the database? See, so who says? But Oracle says will not support. Okay, let me drop it. Oracle says will not support this. Before that, let me show you the file. The same file is accessible from clear. So technically it is okay. Certification wise it's not okay. So don't dare to do this. It's good for fun. But if Oracle says it's not supported, it's not supported. You can try it on your own personal database at home. Don't do it in office for a customer's environment. No, no, it's sheer because I don't know. There must be some technical reason, but for me, it's pure adamantness. Oracle says if there is a data file, database file, it should go on a ASM disk group. If it's a non-database file, then it can go on your ASM file system or ADVM for that matter. Files are removed. I'm going to create one short file for the next discussion. I said dd input file equal to dev 0 output file equal to 10 MB dot dbf, not 10 MB, I will create of 100 MB dot dbf whatever, block size equal to 1M, count equal to 100. So I created 100 MB file on this disk. It takes some time to settle the IO part, but yes, 100 MB file got created here. This is just for demo purpose. See here, 100 MB file. Okay, let me see the disk usage now. $260 MB of space is used, 253 MB is still free. Let me create, I have still some free space. So I have two files of 100 MB each now. Clear? I say df-h. 379 MB space is roughly being used. I still have some more. Let's do one more. So I am creating 300 MB files on that mount point. The relevance you will understand at a later stage. Nothing, those files are just having zeros written in them. I just wanted a disk usage of 100 MB, that's why I created those files. So I have now three files on this mount point, 100 MB each. The mount point is almost about to exhaust the free space. It's not slow by the by the very virtue of the product, it's slow because of our infrastructure. So here I can see there are 3 files of 100 MB each, and the disk mount point utilization is 498 MB, right? The total disk utilization seems to be close to 304 MB. Remaining is metadata. I checked it with du-sh. So if this much is the size of this mount point, how much space would be required if I want to perform an image copy backup? Same. Let's check it. I am counting time and disk space requirement. So I said time. It's copying a traditional backup, image copy backup. So it's still copying. So a couple of observations. This is my usage. These are the files on it. The total disk space consumption is this much. Take a regular backup, image copy backup, and notice the time it takes and the disk space required. So I am taking a backup, and we'll notice how much space is occupied by the backup and how long it took. This is how a traditional backup works. The copy has taken roughly this long, and the size is this much. So this is the space that was consumed by my backup, roughly 301 MB. Now I am going to explain you a new type of backups that are possible. Before that, I want to modify my file. ACFS supports snapshot backup. I added a line to indicate what was the contents of my file prior to snapshot backup. See here, what is my file saying? This is the last line in my file before backup, snapshot. Now I am going to take a snapshot. Prior to that, I am saying show me hidden files. I can see there's a hidden folder called as .acfs. I go to .acfs, I say show me hidden files. There is a folder called as snaps. I say show me hidden files. Nothing is there. I am here. Clear? There's nothing there. It's all blank. Now I am going to take a snapshot backup using ACFS util for my I don't know how to type it. Just type the command and forget about it. It will show you a help. Oracle provides you an utility called as ACFS util. I am looking through the documentation of that ACFS util, and somewhere I can see there is a way to take a snapshot backup. Clear? I want to take a snapshot backup of my file system. Prior to that, a small change. I want to show you the information about our volume. I used the ASM CMD command called as vol info -a. It says there is a volume in the disk group named dgnorm local vol. There is another volume shared vol. So these are the currently available volumes to you. Agreed? Now I am going to take a snapshot backup of my file system. ACFS util snap create snapshot name mount point name. So I am taking a snapshot backup of the entire mount point. Done. Backup is done. Less than a second. How do I know if the backup is done? Here I am again on the volume in the hidden folder .acfs in the folder snaps. See here, hot BKP today. I don't believe this. I said what is the disk usage? It says 304 MB. उतना ही है. सही में किया होगा बैकअप इतने जल्दी? I said डिस्क का यूटिलाइजेशन कितना है फिर? No change in the utilization. Backup भी हो गया. I don't believe. I go to hot backup. All my files are there. See here. All my files are here. I say show me my file. It says see, this is the last line in my file before backup. So file is also there. I go to shared. I edit my file. I added one more line. I said cat file 1. I can see that line. I go in the backup folder and I say cat file 1. I don't see that line. Means backup हो गया. Backup भी हुआ, time भी नहीं लगा, disk space भी नहीं लगी. Fantastic. I go back. I remove the file. I removed it. I copy the file from the backup again. I go to shared disk again and I cat the file. See here. तो फाइल का बैकअप हुआ है इसका मतलब. Because I see this is the last line in my file before the snapshot backup. I restored it from there. So it has taken a backup. It hasn't taken any time to do the backup. Neither it has taken 300 MB of disk space. Clear? If any of my files is lost, I can always restore it from the backup. So ACFS provides you snapshot backups. Which is a read only point in time copy of data which it stores under the given volume under the folder .acfs snaps. You can take, I believe, up to 32 snaps per volume at any given point in time. Now I want to check ACFS info about my file system. So I said info file system slash shared disk. It shows me the complete information about my file system. It says, I said ACFS util info fs shared disk. It says of the version 11.2020, total size is this much, total free is this much, this is the volume device associated with it, total number of snapshots you have taken are 1. I am taking one more snapshot. Done. Backup is done. So it takes more time to type the command than to finish it. Number of snapshots are 2. I go to, I say du-sh. It still shows anyways. So how much size? How much size? And how much is the utilization still? Although they are on the same disk group, the disk group's utilization or the disk's utilization has not gone high. Otherwise, 2 backups of 300 MB means the disk itself should have been of 600 MB to hold the backups. I have, apart from that, my principal copy of 300 MB. So total 900 MB of data is still there, but no utilization, further utilization of the disk space. This way you can take multiple snapshot. If not, you can always delete a snapshot. Done. So I have deleted the snapshot now. I go back here and I say ls-l. I don't see the hot backup snapshot. There is no change in the disk utilization. So snapshots offer you a point in time read only copy of data without taking any time, without consuming additional disk space. Which is really a fantastic feature to work with. You can use ASM CMD versions for creating ACFS volumes. ASM CMD vol create -d name of the disk group -s size of the volume and the name of the volume. You can obtain vol info. You can create mount points. You can mount them. We have all done this. It can also be done from the DB console, which I don't want to see. I can query the same information from select star from $v ASM underscore volume. Select star from $v ASM underscore file system. See here, only one file system is shown. The other one is not shown because it is only worried about ACFS file systems which are registered. Now a short discussion on what was the question that it asked you during ACFS creation. On the ACFS creation screen, it asks you question as, do you plan to install Oracle RDBMS software on this ACFS formatted volume? If your answer is yes, the volume or the ACFS is automatically registered. It doesn't give you a choice to register it or not to register it. But if your answer is no, which means then it offers registration facility, which means you can optionally register or you can ignore that registration. The advantages of doing a registration is if you reboot your machine next time, the file system would be auto mounted for you. So it's as good as putting an entry into etcfs tab. For all the mount points you put an entry into etcfs tab. So it's for auto mounting. So same thing, auto mounting is also available here. If you want to if you no longer want to use this one, you can remove the volumes. So you can remove it either from ASM CA or from SQL Star Plus or from ASM CMD. So here it tells you what type of a usage it is, ACFS. While this one it is not showing any usage data, which means it must have been formatted by some operating system specific file system, which in our case is ext3. Clear? Now ACFS file systems can be augmented, increased using the command ACFS util resize. See here. If I want to increase the size of my file system, I can do it from here. Clear? So see, before I do this, and then I'm saying sbin ACFS util size plus 100M, new size is multiple of 256. If I check now, see here. So ACFS file systems can be resized using ACFS utility. But you cannot resize regular file systems using that utility. For that, ASM provides you an option. Wall resize. So you have to resize the volume. See here, resizes an Oracle ADVM volume, but that volume resize is for non-ACFS file system. So assuming I want to do this, I said wall resize -g, name of the disk group is dgnorm, -s, the new size is of 1 GB. For the volume, what was the name of my volume? Shared wall. See what it says? ACFS volumes must be resized with ACFS util size operating system command and not from here. So you cannot resize it from here. But non-ACFS volumes can be resized from here. So if I say it says volume local wall in disk group dgnorm is currently being accessed. So it's not an online operation for non-ACFS one. So I will have to unmount it first. See, now I unmounted it. Once I unmounted, let me try to resize it. Now it says it is resized. I say wall info -a. Prior to resize, it was showing the size as 256 MB. After resize, it is showing me the size as 512. So non-ACFS file systems can be resized using wall resize. Let me try to mount it now. The size for my volume, although the device has increased, but Linux ext3 needs file system needs to be resized. If I see what is the type of the device now or size of the device now, it is 526 MB. But file system was created prior to resizing, so your file system needs to be readjusted accordingly. Now to my knowledge, ext3 doesn't support online resizing, so that's not a problem with Oracle, that's the problem with the file system. Clear? So that's not the problem with Oracle in this case. So volume can be resized. Other file system supports, for example, Resizing, which is one of the supported file system on Linux, can be online resized to a higher volume, but not ext3. ext4 does. ext4 supports online resizing. You can also create volumes using SQL star plus by saying alter disk group name, add volume, volume name, size of whatever size. We have also seen what is the significance of registering a ACFS volume. How to create it, we have seen using ASM. How to get it mounted. If it is registered, you need not worry anyways. You can also extend the dynamic volume. I told you using two different methods. You can also do a file system consistency check. We have talked about ACFS util info, snap to create and delete a snapshot, to register and unregister a file system. If you want to remove a ACFS file system, you can use ACFS util RMFS. If you want to resize a ACFS, you can use size. If you want to change the tunable parameters, you can use ACFS util tune. I talked about snapshots. There are 63 snapshots per volume possible. How to take a snapshot, how to delete a snapshot. ACFS util info also tells you how many snapshots are there. The same thing can also be done from the web console. Oracle Restart cannot load ACFS driver. Root or administrator must load the driver. Anyways, you need not worry, they automatically get started. So if you want, you can get ACFS load start -s to automatically restart it after the OS reboot. $ASM file system, $ASM volumes, $ACFS volumes are the dynamic performance views which will give you the idea. The ADVM volume can only be used for ACFS file system, true or false. The ADVM volume can only be used for ACFS file systems. I have just shown you. that one volume we formatted using ext3, another we formatted using ACFS, which means it is false. Other file systems can also be created on top of your ADVM volumes, but not clustered file system, just because they are on the ADVM volume whatsoever. That's it for this session.